Samprabha Nirvignam Guru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. In high school science, they introduce Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Everyone remembers high school science? What's the initial need of all of us? What's our first need?
Food.
There's a proper term for that though, and that is physiological needs. Food, water, oxygen. Once that's met, what is the next set of needs? Safety. That I'm breathing, but how long will I breathe for? Safety. When that's met, what's next?
Comfort.
Belonging. A sense of belonging comes next. Family, friends. Once that's met, what's more subtle than that? High school is decades ago, correct? Centuries for some people. Esteem. Esteem needs. And the subtlest, the top of this hierarchy of needs is actualization. The need for actualization. Physiology, safety, belonging, esteem, actualization. I feel that Maslow's hierarchy of needs has actually been derived from Vedanta's koshas. We have the pancha koshas, or the 5 sheets in Vedanta. So let's go through that. And in the pancha koshas, we don't create it like a pyramid. We create it like circles going this way. So the outermost circle or kosha is the annamaya kosha, or the sheath that's made up of food. We call that the body. Closer than that is the pranamaya kosha, the sheath that's made of one's physiological functions, the breath. Closer than that is the manomaya kosha, the sheath that's made up of the thoughts, the mind. Closer than that, vijnanamaya kosha, the sheath that's made up of our decisions, the intellect. Closer than that, Anandamaya kosha, the sheath that's made up of ignorance is bliss, the ego. Now in our koshas, if you ever think of a sheath, if a sheath is present, what else has to be present?
Something inside the sheath.
What that sheath is covering, correct? When someone unsheaths a sword, the important part is not the sheath, it's the sword. So whether you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs or the panchakoshas, the implication is that we are more than the body and breath and mind and intellect and ego. We are more than physiology and safety and family friends. The more that we examine that, the more we will come to feel that. And everyone in this room, we do know that there's more to us than meets the eye. We know it, yet we don't know it. We know that we're more than the body, but how much time do we spend in the bathroom? Admiring ourselves in the mirror, or even being disgusted with what's in the mirror? How much time do we go on making the thoughts of stress more and more and more real? You focus on the stress thought, it starts to grow out of proportion. So we know, yet we don't know. We know God is all-pervading, yet we also don't know that God is all-pervading because it's a word to us. It's not a feeling. We are trying to know who we are fully, not casually. You have casual employees, you have full-time employees. Who takes that employment more seriously? This is why the theme of this Jnana Yagna, this knowledge series, is from beauty to bliss, from the outside to the inside. By knowing and not knowing, our happiness gets diluted. And I'll give you an example of that. How many of you have ever had a Tootsie Roll before? Have you eaten a Tootsie Roll? You know what a Tootsie Roll is, right? So when you're given a Tootsie Roll, and nobody gives Tootsie Rolls out for Halloween anymore. Nobody buys them. It's an old candy now. Because there's not enough sugar in it. They need sugary candy. More sugary candy. When you get a Tootsie Roll, what if you put the whole Tootsie Roll in your mouth with the wrapper on? And you start chewing on it? Some of that flavor will seep through the wrapper and you'll get to taste that caramel, that sugar, but you'll also be tasting the plastic, correct? Chewing on that. That's like me saying, I am bliss, but I'm also the body. But if I know the details that the body is an instrument, the mind is an equipment, then it's like me taking off that wrapper, and then you get to enjoy that Tootsie Roll fully. We get to be independently complete. This is a good Tootsie Roll commercial, right? You should videotape this and send it to them. To see more clearly. Yaha pashyati, sa pashyati. Bhagavan Krishna says, only the one who sees can see. We need to engage in upasana, guru upasana. What does upa mean? Near. I explained that yesterday. And asana? Sit. Sit near the guru. By sitting near the guru, we come to have the vision that he or she has. And in this case, we are trying to sit near Rishi Patanjali. He can see what we can't see. But the more that we come to study his words, study his message, it's like we're moving closer to him. And if we become totally aligned with him, we get to see, experience what he is. And the reason why Rishi Patanjali, he took the message of the Upanishad, and the message is your joy, your nature's independent completion, and he codified that, systemized that. He wanted to share his joy. When you're happy, can you hold it in? You can't. You go to someone's house and they make good sambar. You know, they make good pasta sauce. And you have it there, and then when you leave and you meet your friends, you want good sambar? Go to their house. Pretend like you have to talk to them about something. And go eat that sambar, that pasta sauce. When you go to a good vacation spot, you tell people about it. So clearly, Rishi Patanjali has experienced his nature, and he's sharing that with us out of love for us. And that's why he lives forever. 2,400 years old minimum, how old this text is. People are saying it's older than that. And we're still studying that because we know that there's more to who we are and we need help. We need guidance. Sutra. There's a special shloka in Srimad Bhagavad Gita that uses the word sutra. Bhagavan says, Bhagavan Krishna, Sutre manigana iva. That he is like the thread, like the cord, and we are all the pearls on that thread, that cord. And he distinctly uses a pearl. He doesn't use ruby, emerald, diamond. How come a pearl? Because it's not as valuable as a diamond, right? How come he uses the word pearl? Because pearls tend to be natural, and you can't see through a pearl. Just like we can't see through ourselves right now, so he aptly describes us as a pearl. And he is that which unites all of us. Existence, awareness, joy, or life. Rishi Patanjali is taking the darshana, the vision of our nature being bliss, joy, and he put all of these sutras on this darshana. He put all of these teachings for us to hold on to, for us to try to practice. And if we do, if you hold on to the beads, you also hold on to the thread, the cord. So this darshana, this vision, is what is underlying all of these sutras, these teachings. This is known as a classical text in Sanatana Dharma. Classical because this is ancient, yet still fresh. Ancient yet fresh. And today I was asking people, what were you thinking about from the Yoga Sutras in your day? And some people shared some very thoughtful answers about how this was integrated into their day. Ancient, fresh. The Patanjali Yoga Sutras are also known as a Shastra. A Shastra is a science. And this is a most thorough science where all 194 sutras are sectioned for us to keep on building our thoughts, our lives. Yesterday, we began with the section on the purpose of yoga. And the purpose of yoga is shared in the second sutra. And this is the sutra that we should memorize. Does everyone remember what that sutra is? Yoga, Chitta, Vritti, Nirodha. Nirodha means transcending the thoughts of the mind is yoga. So the summary of the whole purpose of yoga is in the second sutra. And what we studied with this is, we are seeking quietude. We are not seeking articles, we are not seeking beings or circumstances, nor pleasure, nor possession, nor position. We are seeking quietude. And when we experience that quietude, instead of assigning that completion from my nature, I assign it to that pleasure, to that promotion, to that vacation, to that person, when it's actually coming from my own self. So we are seeking quietude, and for those who are sincere, it's not even quietude we're seeking silence. Because quietude is still conditional. Silence is not. What do you have to do to be silent? Nothing. Doing anything will take us away from that silence. But quietude, we have to turn the heater off, we have to tell the cars to stop moving, we have to tell our babies to stop crying. This is what our nature is. And the sadhana for the second sutra was, remember ghost stories. Ghost stories are just a play of thoughts. Everything we thought about today was a play of thoughts too. You can make those thoughts as serious or non-serious as you wish. They're just thoughts. And that knowledge itself helps us to start to transcend the thoughts. Then we took up Sutra 12, where Rishi Patanjali says, if you want to transcend the thoughts, what do you have to do? Practice. And we will practice and we'll move forward, but we may plateau. So he introduces another word. You can't just practice, you also have to prioritize. If I'm dedicated to going past quietude to silence, I have to sacrifice. How much I sleep, how much I eat, how much I talk, who my friends are, and on and on and on. Peace gives value to any other experience we have. If you live in a 20,000 square foot home but you don't have peace, how valuable is that home? You employ 50 people, but all they do is bother you. How valuable is that position? You take a simple example. You have a fridge full of fresh food, but you have indigestion. How important is that fridge then? You have the most comfortable bed, duvet, body pillow, rhythmic noises in the background. But you are worried about a meeting tomorrow. See how peace provides value to any experience. So then why focus on physiology or safety? Focus on actualization. Actualization means this is who I am. And our sadhana here was, remember, the famous. They weren't born famous. They practiced and practiced and practiced, and it became natural. And that's what we remember them for. In Sutra 20, Rishi Patanjali shares, as you're practicing, you may falter. So what we need to do is keep on supporting ourselves. And we keep supporting ourselves by using thoughts in a productive way. By using positive thoughts. And if I'm using positive thoughts, that means I'm disusing negative thoughts. At the Western Fair, they still have the Western Fair going on? Okay. Not presently, but year by year it's still going on, yes? Okay. There's this one game where you're given this fishing rod and there's a magnet on the end. And they have all of these yellow pucks and there's a few red pucks. Have you all visualized that? And if you get that red puck, then you get a prize. But if you get the yellow puck, you don't get anything. Imagine the yellow pucks being negative thoughts, unproductive thoughts, thoughts of you can't. And the red thoughts being productive thoughts, positive thoughts, you can thoughts. Both are thoughts, but with one you get a prize, and with one you waste money. So here he's saying we should have thoughts of Shraddha, thoughts of courage, and on and on and on. The sadhana here was, remember your fridge. There's lots going on in your fridge. Choose that which is healthy for your body. If you can visualize that, the same goes with the fridge of our mind. There's lots going on. In Sutra 30, Rishi Patanjali talks about what our thinking habits are. What our thinking habits are. And our thinking habits tend to pull us down. What are some of our thinking habits? We are alasya, lazy. Too lazy to ask for forgiveness, even lazier to give forgiveness. Isn't that how our relationships are? I don't want to ask you for forgiveness. It's better we just not be friends. How else do we think? What other habits do we have? Doubting. We thrive on doubts in the sense of the news. The news creates so much doubt in our minds of security, of peace. It's happening over there somewhere in the world. It may happen here too. They play on people's doubts. Best example of that is, have you ever seen Indian news? Who knows what's happening on that screen? They're selling vitamins, they're selling this, they're saying everything is so important, right? They're just playing on our doubts. If you have a problem in your life, just call New Jersey and they'll send you a solution. A pujari in New Jersey, they'll send you a solution, correct? Doubts. Pramada. Carelessness. How many of you have a tile for your car keys? You know what a tile is, right? A tile is something you attach to your car keys that if it's ever lost, you press your phone and it'll start emitting a noise. Corporations thrive on our carelessness, isn't it? Those are our habits. And naturally, if those habits are pulling us down, we have to develop habits that lift us up. So your sadhana for the 30th sutra was, remember The sun. That's how that darkness will go away. And finally, we studied Sutra 33. In 33, Rishi Patanjali shares the real gauge of one's development is being with people. Acharya Shankara shares in Vivek. He says you should begin with closed-eye meditation. But the fulfillment of closed-eye meditation is open-eye meditation. That same bhava or feeling you have in your room by yourself, can you carry that to the bank, to your profession, with your family? When we were studying in our ashram, they said, after the Vedanta course is done, you have to leave within 3 days. And what a message that was. This is a controlled environment. Can you live this in an uncontrolled environment? Please remember that. You will really know how strong or weak you are based on being with people. And so, the opportunities that we're given to do seva, the seva is not about setting up the mats or turning on the heat, it's about working with people. And I find too many people who are very comfortable sitting in front of a murti, but when it comes to sitting in front of a manava, a person, they shy away from that, and in their minds are justifying, that's not my personality, that's not my sadhana. But that's just us staying in our comfort zone. You get an opportunity to serve, you must take that, because that's where we really get to see if we're growing or not. And so the sutra for the 33rd, the sadhana for the 33rd sutra was? Remember the ocean. Be the bigger person. Good? This is the purpose of yoga. And what did I say the second section would be? The practice. Now that I know where I have to go, I have to know how do I get there. In Sanskrit, this is known as the sadhana pada. The previous one was the samadhi pada. This is the sadhana pada. The purpose and now the practice. And so I share with you the first sutra in the practice section. Simple sutra, but I hope it will really open your eyes to a term we all use, but maybe it's being misinterpreted. Tapaha, swadhyaya, Ishvara pranidhanani, kriya yogaha. What's kriya yoga? You've all heard of kriya yoga before. Now what is it? It is tapaha. It is swadhyaya. It is Ishvara pranidhana. So opening this up some more, the practice of yoga should begin with tapaha. What does tapaha mean? That which we don't want to do is tapaha. Tapaha means to burn. Tapaha means discipline. Tapaha means opening our comfort zones. Swadhyaya. Where have you heard the word adhyaya before? Right, we heard it near Gita chanting that this adhyaya, this chapter is called such and such. Now, the prefix here is swa adhyaya. What does swa mean? Myself. This is a chapter on myself. This is a study of myself. Swadhyaya. And finally, Ishvara pranidhana. Pranidhana means prostrating, offering, living for who? Ishvara. All of this combined is Kriya Yoga. Now let's go some more. What is our religion called? Sanatana Dharma. Excellent students. The word Hindu is not in the Veda. It's a word that's been imposed upon us. Our religion is Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is a vision. Our vision statement is Sanatana Dharma, which is our unchanging responsibility. Sanatana means unchanging, Dharma means responsibility. What is our unchanging responsibility? To be independently joyous. It's unchanging. Whether I'm healthy or unhealthy, whether I'm a male or a female, that doesn't change. This vision statement becomes more real through a mission statement. What is the mission statement of Sanatana Dharma? Self-development. In Sanskrit, the word is yoga. How do you get to this darshana? Through yoga. Mission statement, self-development. That's going from better and better and better and better till finally you are the best. And this mission statement becomes more real through our action statement. And our action statement is that which kids don't like the first word and adults don't like the second word. What is it that kids don't like to do? Study. And what is it that adults don't like to do? Also study, but what else don't they like to do? Discipline. See, kids don't know, so they study. We already know, but it's about following it. So the action is study and discipline, the mission is self-development, and the vision is Sanatana Dharma. Here, Rishi Patanjali is bringing up Ishvara Pranidhana, to get to that feeling that Bhagavan, that the Creator is all. You have to go through yoga, and to get to yoga, you have to engage in swadhyaya and tapa. Without study, you cannot engage in yoga. And equally important to that studying is following that study. So the word tapaha is introduced also. Tapaha is to burn our comfort zones. Right now you're sitting beside someone you know. Sitting beside someone you like. I hope. Many spouses are sitting beside each other right now. Because that's our comfort zone. And also fascinating is that there's more people sitting in the back than sitting in the front. That's your comfort zone, isn't it? If it's about heat, then I guess I should be sitting back there then, right? See how we seek comfort rather than following that discipline? Just to give you a visual example. That we're more interested in comfort than that contentment. Now, when I say tapas, we always think of Srimad Bhagavatam and Dhruva, not breathing, Aparna, not eating leaves, Ravana, with one leg up, he's thinking about Bhagavan Shiva. The greatest tapa is studying Vedanta. Because that is taking us more and more and more inward, and that's where the first poison is going to be, is when we start to look within, isn't it? As long as I don't look at myself, I'm the best person. My greatest weakness is I'm too humble. But once I start to look at myself, I become more inward looking. That's where that negativity starts to come. That's why swadhyaya and tapa go together. When Swami Chinmayananda was living in Uttarakashi, and some of you will come with me to see Tapovan Kuti, where he studied. And some steps below is the Ganga. And he would look down and he would see this one person dressed in simple clothing, and he would go into the Ganga till his neck every morning. Now I was in Uttarakashi, I've been there a few times. We lived there for a month, and we were there in September. And you can only go in the water during the day. You can't go in the morning or evening. That's glacier water, that's melting. I'm not talking Delhi or Kanpur, I'm talking it's still glacier water. And so he thought, that's what you're supposed to do if you live in Uttarakashi, is try to go in the water until your neck. So he tried, but he couldn't do it. He tried again, he couldn't do it. Too cold. And he just became so dejected that he packed his belongings and he was leaving Swami Tapovanam. And Swami Tapovanam said, "Hey Chinmaya, where are you going?" He said, I see that sadhu, he called him a sadhu. That sadhu goes into the Ganga every morning till his neck, and I can barely put my legs in. He's such a tapasvi. And Swami Tapovan said, and he's looking at you and seeing you wake up early, you listen to Vedanta, you take notes, you think about it all day. That's just at the body level. This is at the mind and intellect level. This is greater tapas. And who's saying that? Swami Tapovana. The one who's a forest of tapas is making that claim. And that's why, in the city there's 500,000 people that live here. If you even take people of Indian origin, even if you take that, there's thousands. But in this room there's dozens because it's too difficult. So why try? So good for all of us that we're trying Swadhyaya and Tapa. That's what Kriya Yoga is. But now you see many organizations, many teachers, how they interpret Kriya Yoga. They will not last long. Anything that's not in line with the Shastra. Have you ever studied why Sanatana Dharma is Sanatana? Because it's based on the Shastra. And if we move from that science, it may last for 10 years, 20 years, but soon that will erode and fall apart. So I'm sharing with all of you the importance of understanding what the rishis have authoritatively shared, not what someone interpreted. With this first sutra in this practice section, Rishi Patanjali is saying, change the direction of where your thoughts are going. And the sooner you do this, the better. If you want to drive to Sarnia, but you start seeing signs for Toronto, you're here, you start seeing signs for Toronto, the sooner you see the sign, the better, correct? You save time, you save energy, you're going the wrong way. So for us, the sooner we have our midlife crisis, the better. Because then I know that I'm lacking meaning in my life and I need to have more meaning. I think about my grandparents probably had a midlife crisis when they were 55. My parents, 45. My generation, 35. And when you look at it externally, people are becoming more sad. Conversely, it's their privilege that they're having this crisis sooner, that they're lacking meaning. I'm grateful I had mine when I was 24. And I think like Prince Arjuna had Bhagavan Krishna in front of him, I had someone who already knew what this crisis is about and could guide me through that. Here's your sadhana for the first sutra. Yesterday, what was the one word that was in every sadhana that I gave you? Remember. So in this practice section, it's not going to be remember, it's going to be. So your sadhana is be proactive. It's no longer about remembering, you have to follow this now. Be proactive. Before the world drops you, what should you do? Become independent of the world. And the world will drop us. Like Prince Arjuna's confidence was finally cracked. Us too. Be proactive. I'm on Sutra 3. As we're trying to engage in studying ourselves, Swadhyaya, study, and tapaha, discipline. As we're trying to become more inward looking, what poison is going to come up? The name of the poison is given here. In the churning of the Milky Ocean, what was the name of that poison? Halahala. Known as the most poisonous substance in creation. Halahala. But that's the most poisonous substance in the outer creation. This is the most poisonous substance in the inner creation. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhiniveshaha, kleshaha. Kleshaha. These are that which bother us, rattle us, disturb us, depress us. And what are they? We'll go backwards. Abhiniveshaha, which is believing that one is the body only. Believing that one is the body only. So that day when you're looking closely in the mirror and you see your first white hair, depression. Why? Abhiniveshaha. But if I know that this body is made up of organic material, it's going to grow and it's going to die. Then dvesha. Dvesha means dislikes, hatred. What animal do people generally fear? Snakes. What animal do people think about the most? Snakes. We think more about people we hate than we love. Someone bothered you at work versus someone did something nice for you at work. Who are you thinking about? I was driving to Toronto one day and I stopped to fill up gas. And as I'm pumping gas, a car pulls up behind me, lady gets out and she's staring at me. And I'm relatively used to people looking at me, dhoti, kurta, what's this? But she's staring, like passively looking, that's one thing, but staring at someone is a different matter. So I looked at this lady and said, can I help you? Interrogating her. She's interrogating me, I'm going to interrogate her back. So she says, how do you keep your clothes so white? And I thought to myself, see how much dvesha I had. That I'm thinking about this lady, that she's thinking like this about me, I'm thinking about her, but she was just looking at my clothes. And where there's dvesha, what else is going to be there? Raga. Raga is likes. When you go to Bhiksha in homes where they cook good food. Correct? Raga. I'm not saying I do that. Other people do that. And raga comes from asmita. Asmita means ego. If I don't have an ego, there's nobody I like and there's nobody I dislike. I'm going backwards from most manifest to most unmanifest. And why is there ego? What was the first word we read? Avidya. Because I've forgotten that my nature is joy, so I feel my nature is ego. I've forgotten my nature of joy, so I go about trying to fill my emptiness in. I'll open this up for us. Avidya feels like separation. When I forget that all of us are alive for the same reason, I feel separate. And whenever there's a feeling of separation, there will be a feeling of smallness, ego. Avidya is separation, and asmita is smallness. I feel small. And whenever I feel small, what comes next is raga. I feel sad. And because I feel sad, I start to project that if I get what I like, I'll be happy. Sad. And whenever we are sad, we try to bring in what we like, but it doesn't work. So that which we like often turns into dvesha. And the worldly feeling of that is stress. I'm sad, I go trying to make myself happy, but it's not working, so I just feel stress. And abhinivesha is the feeling of being stuck. At our recent daily retreat, we had an exercise where people had to write down 8 articles, 8 circumstances, and 8 beings. You all remember this? And you had to slowly give them away. We did that in our Deva Satsang too, I believe. When I first did this, the last item that I had to let go of was a circumstance. And that circumstance that I had to let go of was enlightenment or happiness. And I felt so bad and so sad letting that go, because I thought, if there's no freedom, what is the point of any experience? If you know you can't get out of being stuck, what could be more hurtful, painful, sorrowful than that? So here Rishi Patanjali is saying, we feel we're separate, so we feel we're small, we feel we're sad, we feel stressed, and we're just stuck. Every New Year's we say we're gonna go to the gym. We don't go to the gym. Every birthday I'm gonna be more relaxed, and I get more stressed because I'm less relaxed. We're stuck. This is the poison, and it's much worse than external poison. With external poison you'll die and be reborn. With this internal poison, we'll be dying with this, and it'll still be with us. What is the difference? And I'm going to focus on the word stuck some more. What is the difference between being busy and being engaged? Being busy and being engaged. What is the difference? Yes. Being busy is purposeless. Being engaged is being purposeful. Even in a relationship, right? Someone who's busy on the dating scene, they may not want to be in a committed relationship. But when someone gets engaged, that shows a level of commitment, correct? They're more serious. Now when people you meet at work, at school, do they ever tell you, I'm engaged? The common sentiment is, I'm not just busy, I'm so busy. Right? You have to show it like that. And the difference is not what's happening outside, the difference is purpose. One has purpose and one doesn't have purpose. And in fact, the people who are engaged are doing more. But they don't feel stress. Because they just have a different purpose, a different meaning to what they're doing. The more you evolve your purpose, the more you devolve stress. So if you're ever feeling stress, maybe that purpose is not clear. And here's your sadhana for the third sutra. The sadhana is be reflective. Be reflective. What was the first B from today? Be proactive. Engage in study and discipline. And as you're engaged in study and discipline, you're going to start to feel what's inside. But in all of that, be reflective. Let it come out, let it come out, let it come out. I'm on Sutra 29. This one you all know. Here's where the Ashtanga Yoga is introduced. Sutra 29. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhayaha, Ashta, Angani. The limbs or parts that are 8 in number begin with Yama. Then Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and finally Samadhi. You counted 8. Firstly, these are to be practiced simultaneously or serially? Simultaneously or serially? We'll have a vote. How many of you think this should be practiced all together, simultaneously? Okay, serially? These are to be practiced serially, not simultaneously. How can you practice samadhi if there's not sufficient yama. Do you climb all the rungs of the ladder at once? You don't. You have to go rung by rung by rung. But that's why I connected the previous sutra, asmita. The ego will always tell me that I'm ready for more than I actually am. We begin with yama. What does yama mean? Discipline. Whose name is Yama? Yamaraja. Death's name is discipline. For those who are coming to our Bhagavad Gita class today, we begin a chapter on death and how to learn how to live so that death is productive. He's known as Yamaraja. There's no mistakes of when we're born or when we are going to die. Yama, there are 5 yamas. And in English, yama can mean don'ts. These are things you should not do. One of them, as an example, is ahimsa. Ahimsa means violence. Ahimsa means non-violence. Where does ahimsa begin? With ourselves. Who hurts us the most? Not outside people, but ourselves. Don't be violent against yourself. The niyamas are also disciplines, but they are dues. Yama are acts of omission, niyamas are acts of commission. This is what you should do. And one of them is shaucha. What does shaucha mean? Cleanliness. So Rishi Patanjali is concerned about our hygiene. Why shaucha? Because external purity leads, cleanliness leads to internal purity. Swami Chinmayananda always shared a place for everything and everything in its place. You know, one improvement of this ashram that can be made is less closet space. You know what the problem is with having more closet space? More stuff goes in it. And the less closet space you have, the less stuff that can go in it, correct? If your closet is organized, it's probably because your thinking is organized too. So when you drive back home today, see the condition of your car, your glove compartment. See the condition of underneath your seat. I've been in cars, no one in this room. They have full packets of French fries under their car, and this in their car, and that in their car. Om Namo Narayana. Niyama. After niyama is asana. Why should you engage in asana? Balance. And that's it. You engage in asana for balance. External balance helps one to be internally balanced. After that, pranayama. Why should you engage in pranayama? Internal balance. That's it. External balance, internal balance. It's like when someone's hyper, what do you say? Breathe. You're balancing your physiology. When I say internal, I'm not saying the mind, I'm saying physiology. After pranayama, pratyahara. And now here's where the Ashtanga Yoga becomes more real. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, that's still introductory level. Now you get into the real aspects of Ashtanga Yoga. Pratyahara means bringing towards yourself. Bringing towards yourself. And the idea is, what are you starting to bring towards yourself? Your thoughts. Remember, asana is for the body. Pranayama is for the breath sheath. Now what's the next sheath? The mind. Pratyahara. I don't think any of you are signed up for this because you're scared. But if you're not scared, next month I'm organizing a 50-hour silence retreat. And what happens in this silence retreat, I'll tell you what doesn't happen. No cell phones, no car keys, no reading, no writing, no puja, no japa, no bindis, no prayers, no eye contact. There is no input at all other than a little bit of food 3 times a day, little bit. And I speak a little bit. They're not discourses. I speak for 5 or 10 minutes, and then the rest of the time, people have to go further within. But when there's so much input coming in, there's naturally more output. But when you start to discipline how much input is going in, then you go further inside yourself also. Last year, there's a courageous group of people that did 200 hours of this. But there's only a few, so now I'm giving people a taste of 50 hours. Pratyahara. Once your thoughts start going towards joy more, what comes next? Dharana. You taste some of that joy. Dharana means you have to put in more and more and more effort to keep those thoughts from going outside. And once you practice this becomes more natural, so dhyana. Dharana means with effort, dhyana means without effort. And the fulfillment of this is samadhi. Samadhi is made up of 3 words. Sam means well. A means fully. And di means placed. When your ego is well and fully placed in the spirit, what goes away? The ego. And that drop goes into the ocean. What remains? The ocean. Not to be practiced simultaneously. I can't bring the ego into the self if I keep hitting the snooze button. Right? That yama has to be there. Your sadhana for the 29th sutra, right? I said 29. Your sadhana for the 29th sutra is be committed. Be committed. And when I say be committed, I'm really saying begin with the yamas and niyamas. Whatever you begin in life, finish that. Follow through. I see that happening less and less and less with the younger people that I meet. They just don't know how to commit to a school, to a person, to themselves. They can't get through the yama. How are they going to get to samadhi? They will always be externally dependent on particles, beings, circumstances. I'm on the 33rd sutra. To help us practice these 8 parts to yoga, Rishi Patanjali says, Vitarka, Badane, Pratipaksha Bhavanam. Bhavana means to have, to nourish. Pratipaksha. You know what that means? Paksha means one perspective. Pratipaksha means the opposite perspective. That I see you from here, but Pratipaksha means to see you from another one. Putting yourself in another person's shoes. Pratipaksha. Badane. Badane means thoughts that distract you, that bind you. Vitarka, to get rid of thoughts that distract you, you should nourish thoughts that concentrate, that help you. This is the literal meaning. We'll open this up with some more. If you're an alcoholic, where shouldn't you drive down in London? Many streets, but one street specifically. Richmond, right? Richmond is where a lot of the bars are concentrated. One shouldn't drive down there if one is an alcoholic, because the tendency is for the mind to be distracted there, correct? Now one may say, that's a sign of weakness. No, it's not. It's a sign of being smart, that I'm not ready to be free of those thoughts, so I should avoid that. Isn't it? Not all of us are like Hanumanji. Not all of us. None of us are like Hanumanji. When Hanumanji arrived in Lanka, and he was trying to find Mother Sita, but he doesn't know how she looks. So he started going from palace to palace, room to room, and how Lanka is described as like a brothel. People are drunk everywhere, people are naked everywhere, people are unconscious everywhere. And now for someone who is not very disciplined, that's a very fascinating place, right? You take Ajamila from Srimad Bhagavatam. He's in the forest to collect flowers for his puja. He sees a prostitute. He can't stop thinking about her. So much so that he invites her to live in his home with him. But then you have Hanumanji, totally focused. He knows. He has the Shraddha that Mother Sita cannot be in such a place. And so he keeps searching and searching and searching, and finally finds him. So for us, as we're trying to transcend the thoughts of the mind, we have to be careful about our environment. If we're careful of our outer environment, we'll make our inner environment strong, then it won't matter what our outer environment is like. And here's some techniques on that. Swami Chinmayananda says, if you want to start to raise yourself, better yourself, it begins with introspection. Introspection. Introspection means getting to know who you are. When you try to get to know someone else, what do you call that? Dating. When you try to get to know yourself, it's called introspection. That sounds much nicer, correct? What are you doing Friday night? Introspection. Dating myself. And once you start to introspect, what should naturally happen next? Detection. For all of you who are studying meditation and life, we will get to this portion. It's so beautifully shared. Detection. Once you start to focus on who you are, you will start to detect. What is the first part of you that you'll start to detect? Strengths. I'm really disciplined. I study so much. I give and give and give. But if you study more, if you keep on going within yourself, behind all of those strengths are avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinidesha, weaknesses. Introspect, detect. Now, here's where rishis are required to insert the next step. Now think, after detection, what would you do? We just don't know what to do, so that's why we need guidance. Here's where Swami Chinmayananda says, next is negation. When you find those weaknesses, to be ashamed of them, to despise them, not to be dejected by them. That's a very different word. Being dejected means you're taking it personally. But despising it means, I don't want to be like this. But for many of us, we glorify our weaknesses, isn't it? I'm an angry person. Makes me a good business person. Or I'm a jealous partner. As if I care more for my significant other, it means that I don't trust him or her. We have to stop glorifying our weaknesses. We have to negate them. We have a lot of Balavihar students in the center. So imagine there's a 6-year-old that's sitting in the back. And I tell that 6-year-old, don't touch that fire. Don't touch it. From that point onwards, that 6-year-old has laser focus on touching that fire, correct? Because the mind doesn't understand the coding of don't. Does not. I tell you, don't think of Shahi Paneer. Don't think of Shahi Paneer. Don't think of Waking up early in January when there's snow on your car, on your window. All of you became sadder as I'm saying that. Because the mind doesn't know that. So you can't just tell the mind or the personality to negate what has to happen after that. Substitution. Whatever you don't like about yourself, you have to start to practice the opposite, pratipaksha. So now very quickly, what are the 6 enemies that every one of us has? Anger is one of them, that's the second one. If you try to go in order, what's the first one? Kama, desire. Then krodha, anger. Then lobha, greed. After that, moha, confusion. After confusion, mada or arrogance. And finally, matsarya or jealousy. Every one of us has these 6 enemies within us. In one place I had asked someone, who are your enemies? One girl put her hand up. Priya, yes. Mary, she starts naming all of these people. Our enemies are this. Now this is what we have to negate. What is the opposite thought to desire? Opposite of kama. Contentment. Kama is I'm focusing on what I don't have. Contentment is I'm focusing on what I do have. Pratipaksha. Then I get to keep going inward. Opposite of anger? Love. Too abstract. Too light. Acceptance. Whatever we don't accept, we are angry at. Opposite of greed? Generosity. Opposite of greed is generosity. Those who are not generous, they are greedy, but they don't know they're greedy. That's why it's a good gauge of how greedy we are, is to see how generous we are. Opposite of confusion, clarity. We know we're happiness, but also don't know we're happiness, so we don't get a benefit by it. But if I'm clear, my nature is not ego, but it is light, I get to enjoy that happiness. Opposite of arrogance. Humility, acknowledgement. An arrogant person thinks they are independent. I'm a self-made man. I think that's the terminology. But someone who's practicing the opposite, my parents helped me, God helped me, the weather helped me, the country helped me, my teachers helped me, my neighbors helped me, my siblings helped me. And the opposite of jealousy. Love is the opposite to all of these, agreed. Love, happiness, certainly, but more specifically, appreciation. If I appreciate what I'm jealous of, I take away the poison from it. And appreciation is, I admire that you have such a skill, such a personality. I would like the same. But in jealousy, I still admire it, but I'm keeping it negative. So in this sutra, we have to remember to be honest about how strong we are. Honest about how strong we are. If I'm honest, I will be careful to not bring in distractions into my life. And once I'm strong enough, nothing will distract me. Sri Ramakrishna shares, when a sapling is growing, what do they put around a sapling? A fence. And it grows and it grows and it grows so that cows don't eat it, people don't step on it. And once it's grown up, what do they do with that fence? They remove it. And if they don't remove it, that same fence kills that tree, correctly. Cuts into its trunk. So for us too, we have to be honest of how long that fence needs to be there. And be careful because the ego will think, you are the fence, you don't need a fence, you should protect other people. Here's your sadhana for 33. Be positive. Be positive. Everyone's looking at me. Let's go backwards. What was the 4th sutra? Starting from the one I just shared with you. Looking at me, not reading. I can read also. What is it? Be positive. Before that, be committed. Before that, be reflective. Before that, be proactive. Yesterday, starting with number 5, remember the ocean. Remember the sun. Remember your fridge. That's like a curveball. You should do all of this. Before that, remember the famous. And the first was remember ghost stories. The last sutra we'll study in this practice section is 52. Tataha kshiyate prakasha avaranam. Tata kshiyate prakasha avaranam. This is the 52nd sutra. For your own reference, there's 55 sutras in part 2. There's 55, and I've read the 52nd. And you know these words. Tataha means, if you do everything I taught you, Rishi Patanjali taught. Tataha kshiyate. Kshiyate means to waste, deplete, destroy. Destroy what? Avarana. What does that mean? Covering, in this case, avidya, that ignorance. And what will still be there then? Prakasha, light. Can you create joy? Can you create joy? Some people are going like this, but with no confidence. When you're not confident about a yes or no answer, what should you do? One can create pain and pleasure, or pleasure and pain, but one cannot create joy. All we can do is uncreate sorrow. No combination, no permutation of any finite numbers can create a infinite number, correct? No combination, no permutation of articles, beings, and circumstances can create joy. All you can do is uncover it as yourself. All you can do is find your potential. On Deepavali, we have so many messages, so many interpretations. Bhagwan Rama's body is made up of light. And on Deepavali, one is supposed to make their heart light, because light attracts light. So I have to make my heart light. I didn't say enlarged. I'm talking about poetically. Make my heart light, so that Bhagwan Rama finds his way into my heart. And if you make your heart light, you start to live in what kind of way? Become light-hearted. A light-hearted person, there's so many characteristics. A light-hearted person is hardworking. A light-hearted person doesn't take matters personally. A light-hearted person smiles more. So in this last sutra that we're studying, Rishi Patanjali is sharing with us, be careful to feel that you are growing. You should feel more light-hearted. Each Deepavali one should feel more light-hearted. Each Jnana Yagna, more light-hearted. Every time we read, more light-hearted. Many of us, we've been reading for decades. I've been studying Gita 10 times, but equally impatient from when I started to now. Equally unconcerned about the community as when I started to now, which really shows that we know the Yoga Sutras yet don't know them. But for someone who is not just knowing the purpose, but is following, is practicing, tataha kshiyate, they're uncovering. They're not busy anymore, they're engaged. We should always be careful about whether we're growing or not. And so here's your last sutra. Be cheerful. Be cheerful. A light-hearted person is cheerful. When compliments come in, they smile. When criticisms come in, they smile. Bhagavan Rama was born in the kingdom, he smiled. Bhagavan Krishna was born in the prison, he also smiled. Bhagavan Rama's body unmanifested itself, he smiled. Bhagavan Krishna's body was killed, he smiled too. Be cheerful. The Yoga Sutras don't have to be so abstract. If they're followed, we begin to feel all this. Okay? Oh.